Nova skiing as well as she is right now is making the women's side very exciting. Fine, then if my next pick is Goot.
Welcome back to the race recap. I am Joe, and this is coming to you not live from my garage, and we are going to talk about a gigantic weekend of speed racing that we just went through. That was a lot of speed. I'm not going to lie, I am exhausted. For whatever reason, speed events just take longer to watch. At least on the first run of a tech event, like the guys at the end come bam, 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 bam. You don't see anything when you're watching those, but you get through it quick. We have some programming notes for the show, and to discuss that, we are going to go to the press conference that Ski Dad had earlier today. Welcome, Bryce and Dylan, to today's press conference. Also, thank you, Mom, for making breakfast. I would like to officially announce that I will not be making a 2-run downhill video for the ladies in Lake Louise. Due to the strains in show production and the need for Dylan to take naps, go to Woodward, and go skiing, Ski Dad has decided to consolidate all 3 ladies' races and the men's downhill into one video. Any questions? All right. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you on the slopes. So there you've heard it from the man himself. We are going to be covering the entire weekend up at Lake Louise for the ladies. That's 2 downhills and 1 Super G, and the men's downhill all here today in this video. I have watched all the races. I did not complete watching the ladies Super G. I mean, you know what? Watching all these races over the weekend via Peacock, we get to see the big production in working order, the high production value, and I think I learned a lot from the production that we saw this weekend, and so I am going to do my best to step up and live up to that level. All right, let's start with the winners from each of the venues. So we had Lake Louise, we had Sofia Goija, who just went up there and absolutely trashed everybody up there. I'm just going to say it. She was sick out there. She was dominant the whole week. She was more aggressive than the other girls. It seemed like maybe her skis were faster than the other girls' skis. That's what I was thinking at the end of the downhills. But then in the Super G, she comes out and makes up all that time at the bottom, which had me back to thinking that she's just going harder and faster than everybody. She did say after the first downhill that she felt like her skis were just almost too fast for her, which has me kind of think that maybe her Super G skis are also that much faster than all the other girls. In any case, Sofia Goija was absolutely awesome out there all weekend. She made some carves that I thought were just fantastic, particularly day 2 in the downhill. She came off of that left footer and rolled into the right footer, going over the roll and over that big pitch, and that was some sick skiing right there. And then she just pounded everybody across the flat. On the men's side, we had Kilde winning again in the downhill. He had taken 1 win in the Super G. They talked in the broadcast about how strong his legs are, and I totally believe it. And I think that if you have the strongest legs and you're also smooth on your skis, you've got a winning combination. That's what Kilde has. He looks good. He looks healthy. I like watching him do good. It was awesome. Watching that downhill was really, really fun. It totally reminded me why Beaver Creek is the #1 men's downhill on the circuit after Kitzbühel. But it's ahead of the Laberhorn. I'll tell you that right now. Beaver Creek is so sick. I love watching it, and Amat Kilde killed it. Before we move into the rest of the field, let's take a moment to hear from our sponsors, Course Reports.
Have you ever been to a race without a coach? Have you ever said to yourself, I just want a regular course report today?
All right, Brett, in the next segment, we're going to get into Michaela and the overall situation between her, Gut, and Volhova. How do you think the Michaela phone call went with Kilde this weekend? Do you know the scene in The Incredibles 2 where the mom is doing her first mission and she calls the dad and the dad's like, oh, everything's going good, honey. And then she's like, Eek, what amazing, I did so good, and all that stuff. And the dad's just like, and just dying inside. Yeah, that's what I think was going on there. Then the dad's talking about how proud he is of her. Oh my God, it must be unbelievable. Was the weekend a success for her? I don't know, man. I mean, there was Nova Hova up there. She could have made some serious distance on her. She comes out with 45 points. What is that? That's like a fifth? I don't know. I mean, I guess. Where's her confidence at right now?
To order, email joethedad33@gmail.com. Shipping rates apply.
Welcome back to the race recap, where we're going to get into Michaela's speed weekend. Was it a successful weekend up there for Michaela? Absolutely. She went up and there was Nova Hova and she scored good points. I think she had the equivalent of what would have been a fifth place had it been one race. And she goes up and did what I said at the beginning of the season she was going to have to do to win this overall, which was race every single World Cup. It's probably a good thing Petra didn't go up, because I think Petra could have done better than Michaela in the downhill, maybe the Super G, I don't know, but certainly the downhill and got more points. So I think Michaela got a little lucky that Petra didn't go, but by Petra not going, this keeps Michaela going in the right direction to winning the overall. The other overall contender is Laura Gut, and with Gut getting a second place in the Super G, and I don't even have it in front of me what she got in the downhills, but it wasn't much. She didn't do really anything in the downhills. I think they were mid-20 results. If Gut isn't going to get the wins, then she's going to have a hard time winning this overall. And a second place for Gut is obviously really, really good, but coming out of a whole speed weekend with just a second really isn't quite enough for Gut to make it happen. Can Gut beat Gojja straight up? Maybe not. And if she can't do that and do that consistently, she's not going to be in the overall conversation. Is it going to be a totally awesome season between Gut and Gojja out there in speed? Yeah, I think so. And I think there's going to be some hills that suit Gut better than Gojja. And then Gut's technical ability is going to take hold. And we're going to see some really kick-ass racing. And I'm really excited about that moving forward. I just don't like Gut's chances at the overall right now. My big emotion moment of the weekend was actually realizing in the second downhill that I'm a gigantic Breezy Johnson fan. I have to admit, I was late to the party on Breezy Johnson. I didn't really cross paths with her as a rep, and I didn't really cross paths with her as a ski coach. And so I never really knew who she was. I had always heard her name, so I knew she was on the ski team and whatever, but I didn't really know anything about her. Hadn't really seen her ski. And then about halfway through last season, she had been on the podium a number of times in a row. And then I tuned into some speed events. I had missed a bunch of the early ones. And I forget which downhill it was, but I watched her. I watched Gojja and then Gut go. And it was very obvious that Gojja and Gut were better, and they were carving more turns and skiing more powerfully and more confidently and just dynamically better than like the field. So I was watching that happen. And then Breezy Johnson came down and matched their lines, matched their power, and was the only other girl in the field running that line and that power and basically running that race other than Gut and Gojja. And I was like, whoa, Breezy Johnson is the real deal. And I think she came out here in Lake Louise and absolutely put herself in that real deal category. I mean, was it 2 seconds and 11th? I don't know. Yeah, 2 seconds and 11th. The seconds, she was the second best downhiller out there, like hands down. She had a couple of moments where she matched Gojja. A couple of one of her rollovers coming over the real rollover, left footer to right footer over the roll, was as good as Gojja. And then other times she was as good at Gojja, I think, at the bottom flat, but she didn't put the whole thing together in either her days to match Gojja. Is she capable of matching Gojja? I certainly think so, but it's going to take perfection because Gojja is just on another level. She's already there, and she's crazy confident. It's going to be tough to track Gojja down. The other North Americans out there, Marie-Michelle Gagnon had, I thought, a pretty good weekend, a 16th, a 9th, and a 9th. Top 10 in the downhill, top 10 in a Super G. She is awesome. Her transition from a tech skier, slalom and GS, to a full-on speed skier has been awesome to watch. It's extended her career substantially, and she could keep doing this for a long time. And it's a great lesson to learn for young athletes. Like, just save it and just change at the end of your career and just go do speed because it seems to work. Keely Cashman. She's a 99 year of birth. She was a little ragged out there in the downhills, 47th and 42nd. But then in the Super G, she goes out and scores World Cup points. And that's what you want to do if you're a young girl on the scene. And Keely Cashman scoring World Cup points, 2 of them, is awesome. Total victory on the weekend. Way to go, Keely. Jackie Wiles, I call it a good weekend. I mean, she needs a little bit more. As a 92, she's a little older. But 23rd, 29th, and 30th. That's 3 scores in a row. She belongs in the World Cup, and she should be out there every day racing. And she's just got to dial it in and track her way up in there and kind of aim for some top 15s and make moves from there. Candace Crawford, tough weekend for her, 51st, 48-36. Trisha Mangan, a DNF in downhill training, so she skips the downhills, 37th in the Super G. Not sure if she was hurt or not. I hope not. Ronnie Remy. Ronnie Remy is in every single World Cup so far this year. She's flailing in every single World Cup, tech and speed. She's got to just decide what she's going to do. She's just kind of flailing out there. Pick an event, pick a tech or a speed route, and go for it. Maybe she's just throwing it against the wall right now. I'm not sure, but it seems like tech would be the smarter thing, but whatever. That's up to her. Stephanie Fleckenstein. All right, weekend, not great weekend, 38, 39, 41. Katrina Van Sosa. Now we get into the young girls, which is really cool. I guess Stephanie Fleckenstein at 97 is pretty young. But Van Soest, she's a 99, 42nd in the Super G. Sarah Bennett, she's a 2001. That's a young girl. She's a DNF in the Super G. Bella Wright, local here in Utah. She's awesome. She isn't quite there with her skiing, but she's so close, and her confidence is there that she's charging these runs, and now she needs to dial in her balance and smooth it out and just ski cleaner runs. She has a skiing in her. There's some dynamics in the skiing that are already there that means that when she finds the balance that she's going to be really fast, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Lauren Masuga, near and dear to my heart. I coach Lauren Masuga, and I couldn't have been more proud watching her run a World Cup and watching her skiing. I knew exactly what was going on. I could see the skiing in her. I could see by the way she was holding her hands in front of her face and she was pressing all of the jumps that the moment wasn't too big for her. And that's what Lauren has, and what's going to take Lauren really far in this sport is Lauren has this just like super positive attitude that everything's fine. And she knew when she was skiing that run and her ski was bouncing and she was bumping around, there's no way she didn't know that she wasn't having a ripping run. But the way she just kept fighting for it, putting her hands in front of her face, trying to go for speed in every little part, doing the presses, and just stuck with it. And there's just no ounce of give up or drawback or take it easy in Lauren Masuga skiing. And then she gets to the finish line, and again, she knows that it wasn't a sick run and that it's going to be pretty far out, but she's just so happy and she's smiling. And then you got Michaela Schifrin waiting in the finish line, waving to her like she's a special kid. I almost teared up watching her run. I'm almost tearing up now. Lauren Masuga, it's totally awesome having her on the World Cup. She's going to be awesome. Alex Wilkinson, 33rd in the first downhill, which was really cool, and then took a hard fall in the second downhill. We hope she's okay. I don't know anything about it. All in all, there's a lot of Americans, there's a lot of Canadians. They're all doing different things. They all have chances to be contenders on this World Cup, and we're looking forward to seeing the best out of all of them. Let's move on to Ski Dad talks about teaching a 4-year-old. Brett, is this another one of those internal ads that you do? Oh, dude, you are on it.
Oh, good slide on that one. Oh, I like that one. Ooh, strong turn. Nice turn, Bryce. Way to be quick. Slow it down a little bit, buddy. Bigger turns.
This is my son, Bryce. He is 4 years old. Who am I? I am Ski Dad. And just by me making this video, you've already figured out I'm one of those dads. My basic philosophy when coaching Bryce is to praise good things without having to tell him what to do.
Oh, good slide on that one. Oh, I like that one.
Do you see the inside ankle turn in there? We are trying to get Bryce parallel this season. There's...
Hello, Joe Dunn.
Guy, I like the buff.
Good vibes only.
Dude, how many speed races did you watch?
I've watched everything. I missed Sundays. I missed Sundays women's. That's it.
I'm halfway
As far
through
as I can
Sunday's
remember.
women. So, okay, I'm half a race ahead of you.
Let me know if you want me to send you one of these.
What is it?
Picture. I put out a World Cup calendar every year.
I need it. I need it on the show. I need it right here on the big board.
Here, hold on a second. Speaking of skiing, too, it was like, I think I'm going to get one of these GoPro 360s so I can do more filming of myself while I'm skiing.
If you can get one, get it and get the footage. Start doing it right away.
I think so, too.
Do it up. All right, hey, we got a jam. I got daycare.
Let's do it, baby. Talk to me, Goose.
Okay, do you have any big takeaways from the weekend, men or women?
Do I have any big takeaways? Yeah, my big takeaway right now, and I don't know how this is going to make people feel. I just spent a better part of 15 minutes watching high level. I feel like the U.S. men could use about. I would benefit from the Olympics being in March. I feel like we're a little. There's a few pieces to the puzzle that I think are looking really good. I just don't know if we're firing on enough cylinders. That being said, though, I fail to see if anybody is really in that same spot. I mean, this past weekend was really only the first big test. I think where some things start to get a little confusing is that we've already been watching a lot of ski racing, but the truth of the matter is when it comes down to the events and the disciplines, we actually haven't had a lot.
No.
So, and then Colorado was a different beast this year, too. So, I thought the Super Gs were really exciting. I thought Thursday was just was amazing.
Really? Because I was down on it.
Otherwise, I got to be honest. I think I think Volova skiing as well as she is right now is making the women's side very exciting. Lensberger obviously is having having a harder time coming back to form. Last season was super exciting. She was just bulletproof on so many levels, and it was fun to watch her peak in there. So I don't know if it's a setup thing or if she's just a little bit of if it's a mental thing. Either way, the skiing's there. It's just this small piece that's got to get through. But the reason I bring up the Volova thing, or not necessarily Volova, but the reason I bring this up is I am finding watching Michaela Schifrin this season more exciting than maybe any other year to come yet.
Even more exciting than when she was crushing everybody.
Absolutely, because when you're crushing, it's great. I mean, it's great because it's a lock, right? Mm-hmm. But you want to see her. I mean, the rate, like the second run of a World Cup tech event it should be, and I enjoy them when it feels like, it's a football game coming down to who's got the ball last.
Yeah.
Just a gunslinging shootout. Both teams scoring more than 30 points, and it's coming down to the last minute. I think that's what I love about watching World Cup tech. And, Schiff's definitely got some setbacks this year, but I think her overall mental strength is in a really good spot. She's still skiing great, irregardless. It just goes to show you what your skiing can do when you have that much mileage under your belt from, either decades or summers or whatever. I think Holdner has been amazing as well. Holdner, dude. I love. She's just a total gamer. I've got so much respect for that girl. She just seems to come out. It doesn't matter what she's got going on, and she just comes out and crushes. But the thing I love about Schiff this year is, like, you look at the second run of Levy, you look at the second run of Killington, and we're talking about slalom here. She comes out and she makes some mistakes that are so far away from her. being herself. You know, we've never seen Michaela make these kind of mistakes before.
2 days in a row going over the breakover.
Absolutely. And those are technical sections where she is usually like, you know, you take those same sections from the same races any year prior to it, and it is an example of the absolute best plan of attack for them.
Did you hear Michaela's mom's comment about Vlhova?
No, can you please repeat it?
That Vlhova looks more like Michaela than Michaela?
Yeah. I mean, Vlhova actually kind of reminds me a little bit of Kristofferson back in his heyday when he was duking it out with Hirscher right now. She's just so good, independent, and rolling it up in a really good spot. It just goes to show you that the two, you know, you still have to be independent-footed and two-footed. But what I love about what happens with Michaela when she makes these mistakes, first of all, there's a piece of her that's more vulnerable. That's more comfortable about being vulnerable. I think she's and maybe one of the best headspaces she's ever been in her career. When she makes these mistakes, the skiing afterwards it's almost similar to something you'd see at a junior race, like, oh, I made a mistake, I know I'm blowing it, and you know what I'm going to do to make up for it? Absolutely crush it, and like just go with like reckless abandon after that. And we've never seen Michaela ski outside of herself in a way and that with that kind of emotion before. And so for me, I think it's really inspiring. I think we're seeing a new version of her that, to me, yeah, maybe we don't have. You know, keep in mind the rest of women's ski racing is as good as it is right now because of her to begin with. Okay.
Oh, for sure.
That's when she was crushing and she was locking it up like that years ago, getting, you know, World Cup overall after overall in slalom. You know, that was just, it took the world that long for them to catch up to her. Okay?
Lensberger.
But Lensberger owes a lot to her as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Vlhova does too.
Oh yeah.
And I would say, you know, just watching her ski right now, it makes the races more exciting. It makes rooting for her more exciting, and I just love seeing her skiing. It's like she's a different athlete now.
You know what I saw was her like emotions in the finish line feel the most natural this season as I've ever seen them.
Yeah, she's definitely got her heart on her sleeve now. There seems to be less fear for failure. I thought she had a pretty interesting interview at the end of Killington as well, where she kind of ranted on a little bit about her headspace, and they started asking her about the record, and you know, she was being candidly honest, and
yeah, totally.
I was you know, severely entertained by it. I just I'm just like, I'm finding a new ways and reasons to be excited about rooting for her. Yeah, I feel like you know, obviously, I think Beaver Creek was a really tough race for everybody to start off the season with. I mean, I thought that Super G, that start, I mean, you know, Ted makes the comment on Friday's race of how this is like one of the like craziest starts, or the craziest start.
11 gates.
Come again?
11 gates you can see out of the start.
Yeah.
In a Super G.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I'm not arguing with you. What I'm saying is, I think it's absolutely true. It's funny, and I've stood in the start of Kitzbühel, both in summer and winter, and you know, and you quickly realize, like, okay, yeah, there's no joking around about this. But you know, Kitzbühel, you got to like kind of hold your breath for like 5 seconds. Then you do have a little bit of a flat after the Massifali to kind of get your shit together before you set yourself up for the
biggest turn ever.
Yeah, for the carousel there.
Yeah.
And but the intensity and the tempo,
dude,
it was a full-on rodeo show.
It was sick watching guys like come off that bump, get stood up, and like go on their inside ski and wait for it. And some of them could, some couldn't. Dude, it was fantastic.
And who is the Canadian kid that got third? That wasn't Broderick.
Broderick Thompson.
It was Broderick.
Yeah, that was sweet.
I love his reaction. He had, like, you know, it reminded me of when Bryce did well. Bryce Bennett did well at Val Gardena the first time. I think he was 8th.
Disbelief kind of?
His first best World Cup
Yeah, the
result
6th place.
was 8th at Val Gardena. And he came through the finish with no understanding of where he was at in the race, looked up at the board and went, holy Moses, what did I just do?
It worked.
And I felt so excited for Brodeur because he skied a hell of a run.
You did. He nailed it. He's good enough. He just sat back day 2.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think is really important to note. They touched on it. Steve Perino touched on it a little bit with Ganon on the Friday's race. And the thing about Ganon was when you're running, he was bib 1, right? Or 2?
1 or 2. 2.
Either way, they kept harping on and reiterating the lack of information that you get when you start that early. And so you really actually, not only is speed a 1 rate or Super G a 1 run, they say this the smartest skiers are the best one at Super G, or the Super G is the smartest skiers. I mean, when you run that early, now all of a sudden you're challenged that much more to be that much more confident and affirmative. And there's no room for doubt in what it is that you're doing. You have to be committed to your game plan, no matter what that outcome might bring. And Ganon my favorite part to watch, especially when they recapped his run later on, was go back to noticing how
there's my
that
timer.
Momentum was
Dude, the Super G was fantastic. I need rapid fire. Who is your pick right now to win the men's overall?
I got a hard time staying away from Odermatt, man. I don't think he might not win a lot of races this year. I certainly think he's going to be. He could be a very well of kind of a classic Giardelli, just always in there.
Okay, who's your pick? We got to go. Who's your pick to win the women's overall?
My gut.
Yeah.
Goja.
What? No way. She's got to win so many GSs. Actually, if she wins all the downhills and Super Gs.
No, she doesn't.
If she wins all the downhills and Super Gs, it's hers.
Well, if that's yes, and if fine, then if my next pick is Goot.
Still Goot. See, I think Goja doing good hurts Goot's chances.
See, but Volova's only going to do well in slalom. She's going to do okay in super and GS.
Vlhova just admitted that she's not into the overall.
Admitting it's one thing, noticing it and seeing it and understanding what her training is right now. Yeah, she's not doing over. She's, and in fact, if we want to say, go back to Michaela's mother's comment, then Volova's actually blueprinting Michaela's training too, because Michaela's going away from it as well.
Yes.
Despite racing this past weekend, I think she was up there for kicks in some regards.
Yep.
But I just think if Goja is going to ski fast in 2 events, otherwise then my third best pick is Michaela, because Michaela has a chance to squeak him in there in speed and still stay on every podium in tech. And Goot's got the ability to do that in speed, in both speed events and in GS.
If Goot could win a bunch of the GSs, yeah, she could do it with a bunch of seconds in speed.
Mm-hmm. But I think those are the. It's very early in the season. I think we've had a lot better visual of what's going on with the women's scene than on the men's right now.
We haven't seen. We needed men's slalom, dude. I'm jonesing for the men's slalom.
Dude, tell me about it. That's my wheelhouse.
Yeah,
come on. That's
totally.
Where the players play.
That's right, man. All right, guy. I got a jet. I got to pick a kid up at daycare. Good chatting with you.
Joke time.
James Talkus, Peaced Off Podcast. Check it out. Okay, gang. We're going to throw up the men's downhill right here. Kilday wins. Meyer second. Foyce third. This was a who's who of speed racing. It was sick. Marsalia sneaks into 4th. That's kind of cool. Dominic Paris 5th. RCS 6. Really good. Way to salvage and prove that you're still at the top of the game. RCS with your probably B-level setup. 6th place. That's awesome. Kriekmeyer 9th. A little low for him. Nyman 18th. Really good. Johan Clary. Psyched he's out there. He was 19th. Bryce Bennett 22nd, scored points. Ganong 24th, scored points. James Crawford scored points. That kid's good. Now look how the young guys go. Crawford's a 97. Brody Seeger's a 95. He's right behind Crawford. Goldberg, he's a little older, 2.75. Arvidsson, he's young. He's still a 96. He's young. 2.93 out. Let's see here. 0.6, and he's scoring points. He's really, really close. Jeffrey Reed, he's another young guy, 97, 3.43 out. He's also really close. Broderick Thompson, DNF. Please comment, like, subscribe. I love doing these. I got to go pick up the other kid at preschool. Peace.